Hex, there aren't enough stealth games, and I think it is a challenging genre to get right, but Dishonored does. Welcome to the plague-ridden streets of Dunwall.
My men were right. You do look like a man out for murder.
Dunwall is not a happy place. The plague not only makes you very sick, but it also turns you crazy enough to shoot bugs out of your mouth. The government has strictly rationed elixir to combat the disease.
We've been on half rations for a week. I ain't catching the plague. Hand it over.
No, please, it's for my baby. He needs it.
But really, the plague and its victims aren't your main problem. You play Corvo, royal bodyguard, and before you get a chance to even get to know the palace and its people, you're accused of treason and your favorite princess is stolen.
What did you do with young Lady Emily, traitor?
It's quite an abrupt start to the story, Barjo, and I felt like it didn't quite give you enough time to digest everything that was going on.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but things do slowly unravel as you progress, and I like that it's a rescue the princess story. But it's also a story about fighting government oppression in a very bad time. Luckily, you're awesome at being an assassin, and when a magical emo gives you special powers to enhance these abilities, it becomes a very bad time for your enemies. While this is a stealth game, you can go gung-ho, but if you want to have the best experience possible, you'll want to put this on very hard and focus on being an assassin of the night. This reminded me a lot of the classic Thief series. It doesn't really have the charm of those games, but it's still got very interesting stealth mechanics, especially as it's not really about hiding in the dark.
Yeah, Dishonored is more about line of sight and crouching. Now, Barge, I'm not sure who in video game land decided that crouching was the best stealth mechanic in the world, because in reality it would be a bit stupid.
Comedy. Your magical abilities are improved by collecting runes, which are hidden around the levels, and some are very difficult to get to.
This is ridiculous.
While others are just plain out in the open. These abilities allow you to possess animals and even humans, bend time, see guards through walls, and see which way they're facing. There's even a fuss for a dart. But the most used magical ability is Blink, which lets you teleport a short distance and also aids in the parkour system. I do like this movement system, Hex. It is so easy to see just where you're going to go.
Yeah, climbing isn't awkward and you're not punished if you aim slightly off where you want to climb to. I thought it was great.
But that Blink is just so overpowered. It's such an I-win button to get out of trouble. And I felt like a lot of the really interesting stealth ideas in this game were ruined because you can just blink out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very powerful ability, and maybe a slower drip feed of abilities would have worked better so that you can earn the right to teleport.
Yeah, it wasn't until I put this on very hard that I started having the experience I was expecting from this game. I think the more you try and hide bodies and move about without getting seen at all, the better time you will have here. In fact, one of the GG team got through this entire game without being seen once or killing a single enemy. And we recently spoke to executive producer on the game, Julian Roby, who talked about these stealth mechanics.
That was actually something that we really enforced during development. We wanted to make sure that you can finish the game without killing anybody at all. There's actually achievement and trophies for that in the game, so if you really want to try to do it. So the way it works is that obviously you can just sneak around all the guards and the enemies in the game to try to reach your target, but you still have the objective to get rid of someone in each of the missions most of the time. So the way we dealt with that is, so you can either kill them, take them out, or we always give some options to get rid of them without killing them, so basically sending them away from the city or stuff like that. And it's always some options that you have to discover by trying to explore a little bit and try to find those optional ways to work around the objective, basically. But yeah, basically you can finish the full game without killing a single person.
I think the options you have are good. There's lots of different ways you can get through an area, and it's quite fun experimenting. There's always a high road and a low road. You can possess a rat and enter via vents, or just go on the offensive.
That might be worth checking out.
Got you now. There you are.
There is a lot of freedom in these zones. They're all quite big, and if you can see something, you can most likely get to it. There's very few invisible walls or inaccessible areas. And when you get busted, it is quite stressful as all those enemies start piling in and you have to make use of all your abilities and gadgets to take them out. I'm also not normally a fan of first-person perspective swordplay, but I think it really worked here. It was very simple, but very tight.
Guns and crossbows worked well too. I like that you didn't have to reload, but you can upgrade things like reload speed and accuracy. I wouldn't call it a particularly gory game, but the kill animations are brutal. I also got a bit of a Bioshock vibe from this at times.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of Half-Life in this game too, especially as you see those striders moving about, and when you hear all those little conversations just happening around you.
Some kind of mask, he said. He didn't get a good look.
Did he say what he wanted?
I hear he didn't say a word, but he went through the place like the outsider himself.
It's certainly not a bad-looking game, but I had mixed feelings about the visuals, Hex.
Yeah, there's a very deliberate and beautiful art style here that almost looks like a watercolor or a gouache painting, and you can virtually see the brushstrokes. It's beautiful, but it's almost to the game's detriment in the end because everything ends up looking quite washed out. I tried turning down the brightness and up the brightness, but it didn't seem to help.
Yeah, I played this on PC, and even with everything on full, I still wanted more detail and just a bit more flair to the visuals.
The environments and the architecture are beautiful, though. I really liked the general feel of the whole world. There's some thoughtful level design too. Most areas have heightened security walls in most zones, and your strategy will change depending on triggered alarms or steampunk electricity defenses. Most situations can be solved with a silent crossbow or sleep arrow, but every now and again you'll come across an organ grinder of sorts who disrupts your magical abilities, and this instantly strips you down and things get very intense. And I thought this gave a really decent mix of challenge.
Yeah, it got especially difficult towards the end, I thought. Although there were times where I still felt like I was just going through the motions. I think you have more fun if you do a bit of exploring, because there are lots of little hidden secret areas and safes with combinations that you can get the code to. Although the loot really isn't worth it, it is just for the experience.
Corvo, under other circumstances, I assure you I might welcome your advances. But rats, plague, and tyranny have a way of killing the mood.
I think if I'd liked these characters a bit more, I would have been more invested in the story and just more invested in this game overall, but everyone just started to blend together, all those different overseers I had to assassinate.
Now about these overseers.
Who was just as guilty as my own men, if not more.
I didn't enjoy the dialogue. I think if you're going to go with a really cool theme like this, why not make the dialogue a bit more Shakespearean?
Do you think you could protect him? You used to do that, right? Before you had your current profession. Before you became an assassin.
Oh, the boat rides with Samuel.
Of course, if anyone finds out what
Row.
you do, the watch will
Row the boat.
Swords drawn.
Stop talking.
And now that you've escaped,
Row the boat, Sam.
the Lord Regent's going to be...
Stop being boring.
Take you up to meet Admiral Havelock.
Ah!
The Admiral's a man.
I thought the dialogue was fine. This is a world made up of different times and ideas, and I like the fusion of magic, technology, and ye olde.
Welcome home, Lord Protector.
Also, your actions will affect the outcome, and there'll be some exciting moments towards the end based on those actions.
Unlock me, and I'll buy you a drink in a couple of days.
Final thoughts?
I think I bought into the hype a little bit with this game, Hex. It didn't quite deliver on what I was expecting.
You won't stay hidden for long.
But it is still a very well-made game, and anything that gets this close to Thief is good in my book, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
In a year of threequels and sequels, it's nice to have a new IP and so well made. And if you do choose the path of pure stealthy assassin, there's high reward here. I had a really good time with it. I'm giving it 8.5.
A contest of honor will take place. Be it noted that Lord Pendleton's representative has a pistol. 3, 2, 1.